Buckle up, everybody, because this deep dive is going to be a wild one. We're going deep into Han Song's Dead Souls.
Yo, yeah. This one is really something.
It's not your typical book. I mean,
Yeah.
we've got excerpts from the novel itself, plus an interview with Han Song where he drops some hints about what inspired him. And we've even got some insights from the translator about like the challenges of bringing this book into English. Talk about layers.
It really is fascinating to get a glimpse into the process, like seeing how this crazy world came together.
Exactly. And let me tell you, right from page 1, Dead Souls just drops you into this unsettling hospital
Yeah.
where it's obvious something is very, very wrong.
Yeah.
But it's more than just a medical drama, you know?
Right. It's like he's using the hospital as this microcosm of humanity, like a
Sure.
twisted reflection of our own anxieties and fears.
Yes. It makes you question what it even means to be human in a world where technology has just reshaped the very fabric of reality. Like, are we even in control anymore?
That's a question Han Song keeps coming back to. The characters are constantly grappling with their own identities. Their memories are fragmented. Their sense of self is constantly shifting.
Like the protagonist, for example. He's all over the place. Songwriter, patient soldier, rebel leader. It's like he's searching for himself in all this chaos.
And that search, that longing for connection, it's something that resonates throughout the book. Even in this really unsettling and often disturbing world, Han Song manages to inject these moments of humor.
Oh, yeah, totally. Like, it's not laugh out loud funny, but there's this dark, sardonic wit that makes the absurdity of it all even more striking.
Exactly. It's like he's saying, look at this mess we've created, but he does it with this wink and a nudge. It's like he's inviting you to laugh at the absurdity even as you're feeling completely creeped out.
Okay, so we've got this unsettling hospital, these characters searching for themselves, and these hints that it's all connected to something much bigger. Where do we even begin?
Well, one thing that really struck me is this recurring motif of escape. The characters are always trying to break free both physically and mentally.
Oh, yeah, good point. The protagonist escapes from the hospital ward, from this sinking ship. He even tries to escape from his own memories.
But each escape attempt just leads him deeper into this twisted world. It's like he's chasing a truth that keeps eluding him.
And that truth might be too terrifying to face, which is, I think, what makes Dead Souls so captivating.
Absolutely. It's a journey into the unknown, a descent into the darkest corners of human consciousness, and a challenge to our perception of reality.
Okay, I'm hooked. So we've got to dig deeper into this idea of Dead Souls. It's in the title. It's a place in the book. But it feels like something way more significant.
It definitely is. It's like a state of being, a spiritual emptiness, a loss of identity that permeates the entire story. It's like Han Song is exploring what it really means to be truly alive.
So it's not just about literal death, but a kind of metaphorical death of the soul. Like, we can be surrounded by technology, by progress, by other people, but still feel completely empty inside.
You got it. And that emptiness, that sense of being lost and disconnected, it's something I think a lot of people can relate to, especially in our modern world, you know?
It's like he's tapping into this primal fear. The fear of losing ourselves, of becoming just another cog in the machine. And the way he blends these philosophical questions with this wild sci-fi world, it's just brilliant.
It's a potent combination. He's making us think about the big questions, but he's doing it in a way that's both entertaining and thought-provoking.
I know, right? This is already blowing my mind.
Uh-huh.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
Oh, there's so much more to come.
What else is lurking beneath the surface of Dead Souls?
Well, there's this one character called Funeral Artist. He creates these beautiful and grotesque structures out of, well, you'll have to read the book to find out.
Ooh, mysterious.
And then there's this really seductive Dr. Summerstream. She saves the protagonist's life, but she might have ulterior motives.
Wait, hold on. Don't give too much away.
Mm-hmm.
We want to keep our listeners on the edge of their seats,
Yay.
eager to discover all the secrets for themselves.
You're right. You're right. I got a little carried away. But let's just say there are twists and turns you won't see coming, and characters that will stay with you long after you finish the book.
All right, listeners. If you're looking for a mind-bending, thought-provoking, and just plain weird reading experience, Dead Souls is calling your name.
But be warned, once you enter Han Song's world, you might never see reality the same way again.
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot.
It's true, though. It really makes you think.
So we've got this unsettling world, these characters searching for themselves, and these hints that it's all connected to something much bigger. Where do we even go from here?
Well, one thing that really struck me is this idea of Dead Souls itself. I mean, It's a place, it's a concept, but what does it really mean?
Yeah, I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. It's like Han Song is tapping into this fear of losing ourselves, of becoming empty shells, just going through the motions of life.
Exactly. And the hospital itself, this massive structure on Mars, it becomes a symbol for the systems that can both heal and imprison us. It's a place of both hope and despair, where the boundaries between life and death are constantly blurred.
It makes you wonder, are we all dead souls in some
Yeah.
way? Trapped by the systems we create, the technology, we rely on the expectations that define our lives.
That's the question Han Song is forcing us to confront. And he does it by populating this world with these bizarre yet strangely relatable characters, like funeral artists who's turning death into art. It's both beautiful and horrifying, just like the world he inhabits.
It's like he's found beauty in the grotesque, a way to cope with this overwhelming sense of mortality that hangs over everything.
Mm.
And then there's Summer Stream, the seductive doctor who seems to be playing her own game.
Summer Stream. She's a fascinating character, isn't she? A temptress, a manipulator, but also a skilled healer who genuinely seems to care about the protagonist. Or does she? Han Song keeps us guessing about her true motivations, just like he does with everyone else.
It makes you wonder if anyone in this book can be trusted. Even the protagonist, with his jumbled memories, seems unreliable. We're constantly questioning what's real and what's not, just like the characters themselves.
And that's part of the brilliance of Han Sung's writing. He creates this atmosphere of paranoia and uncertainty that mirrors the anxieties of our own time. Think about it. How much of what we perceive as reality is actually filtered through technology, media, and other external forces?
Whoa, that's deep. It's like he's taking those everyday anxieties and amplifying them, showing us what happens when we lose control of our own narratives.
Exactly. And that's just the beginning. There's so much more to uncover as we delve deeper into the mysteries of dead souls.
All right, listeners, if you're ready for a wild ride, get ready because we are going deep.
It's going to be a journey you won't forget.
Stay tuned.
And we're back, picking up right where we left off, delving into the strange and unsettling world of Han Song's dead souls.
Man, this book is really messing with my head.
That's what Han Song does best. He makes you question everything.
Right. Like last time we were talking about how the hospital itself becomes this kind of symbol for the systems that control us.
Yes, it's a place of both hope and despair, where the lines between life and death are just completely blurred.
And then there are those characters, like funeral artist. He's creating art out of death. It's both beautiful and terrifying at the same time.
Oh, funeral artist. He's a fascinating study, isn't he? You can tell Han Song put a lot of thought into him. It's like he represents this urge to find meaning in the face of overwhelming mortality.
I was thinking about him a lot, actually. Like he finds beauty in the grotesque. It's almost like he's trying to cope with the fact that death is always lurking just around the corner.
Exactly. And that sense of unease, that awareness of our own mortality, it permeates the entire book. It's like Han Song is saying, hey, you can't escape death no matter how hard you try.
And then there's Summer Stream, this seductive doctor. She's a real enigma.
Ah, Summer Stream.
Yeah.
She's one of my favorite characters. You never quite know what her motives are. Is she helping the protagonist? Or is she manipulating him for her own ends?
Han Song keeps us guessing about her true intentions. And that's what makes her so compelling. Like she's both alluring and dangerous at the same time.
Exactly. And it makes you think about the nature of trust and power. Who do we trust? And why? And how can that trust be used against us?
It's like Han Song is holding up a mirror to our own world, where we're constantly bombarded with information. And it's hard to know what's real and what's not, who to believe.
Exactly. It's that sense of paranoia and uncertainty that really resonates, and it's amplified by the protagonist's unreliable narration. He's got these fragmented memories, he's constantly shifting roles. We're never quite sure if we can trust his perspective.
And that's what makes it so brilliant. Like, we're forced to piece together the truth along with him. And it keeps us on the edge of our seats,
It's like we're right there with him, experiencing the disorientation, the fear, the constant struggle to make sense of it all.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we've talked about the hospital, the characters.
Yeah.
But what about the plot? Where did this story go from here?
Oh man, things get really wild. There are twists and turns you won't see coming, and the stakes just keep getting higher.
Give us a hint. Don't leave us hanging.
Well, let's just say that the hospital president, the guy who seems to be in charge of this whole mess, well, he's not exactly who we thought he was.
What? No way!
Oh, yeah. The reveal about his true identity, it's a total game changer. It makes you reevaluate everything you thought you knew about the power dynamics at play.
I'm dying to know more. but I don't want you to spoil it for our listeners.
Don't worry, I won't. But let's just say that Han Song doesn't shy away from exploring the dark side of human nature, the greed, the ambition, the willingness to exploit others for personal gain.
It's like he's showing us the worst possible outcome of our obsession with progress and technology,
Yeah.
you know? Like, what happens when we lose sight of our humanity in the pursuit of power?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's what makes this book so thought-provoking. It's not just a wild sci-fi ride. It's a commentary on the human condition.
Okay, so we've got this mysterious hospital president, these unreliable characters, and a plot that's full of twists and turns. What else can we expect?
Well, there's this thing called the universal treatment machine. It's this mythical device that everyone seems to be searching for. It's like the key to ultimate healing, maybe even immortality.
Wow. Immortality, that's a heady concept.
Right. And it raises all sorts of ethical questions like who would have access to such a technology and what would the consequences be?
It makes me think of all the debates we're having right now about artificial intelligence, about gene editing, about the limits of science. It's like Han Song is ahead of his time. He's already exploring these anxieties in his fiction.
Exactly. He's asking us to consider the potential pitfalls of progress, the ways in which our pursuit of advancement can blind us to the human cost.
And he's not afraid to get weird with it. Like,
Yeah.
remember the Greenpeace Army?
Oh, yeah. Those genetically engineered monkeys tasked with restoring order. It's such a bizarre and hilarious image, but it also speaks to this deeper question of who has the right to control, to govern, you know? Like,
Oh,
are we any different from those monkeys just following orders and trying to make sense of a chaotic world?
okay, so we've got this quest for the universal treatment machine. We've got genetically engineered monkeys. What about the protagonist? What happens to him in all this chaos?
Well, he goes through a lot. Let's just say that he finally starts to uncover the truth about his past, about his family, about his own identity. And it's not pretty.
Oh, man. I can't wait to find out more. But I'm also kind of scared. This book has really taken me on a roller coaster of emotions.
That's the beauty of it. You never know what's coming next, but you know it's going to be intense, and it's going to make you think.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Dead Souls. I don't know about you, but I'm still processing everything we've uncovered so far.
Seriously, this book is like a puzzle box. Every time you think you figured it out, Han Song throws in another twist. And just when you think it can't get any weirder, it does. Like in this final part of our deep dive, we get to see the personal stakes of the story unfold. We finally learn about the protagonist's past, his childhood, his relationship with his parents.
Oh, yeah. That was heavy stuff. It adds this whole other layer of tragedy to the story. Like you see how his experiences, especially with his father, this old school doctor who's clinging to these outdated methods, have really shaped his worldview.
It's like he's caught between two worlds, the old and the new, tradition versus progress. And he's just struggling to find his place.
Right. And then there's the whole mystery surrounding his mother's disappearance, which adds this element of longing and abandonment to his character.
It makes you understand his desperation, his need for connection, his susceptibility to manipulation. It's like he's searching for something to fill this void in his life, but he keeps getting drawn to people and situations that only lead him further astray.
It makes his journey all the more tragic.
Yeah.
You know, you just want him to find peace, to break free from this cycle of suffering. But the world of Dead Souls seems determined to keep him trapped.
Exactly. And then, of course, there's the shocking revelation about his true identity.
Yeah.
I won't spoil it for our listeners, but let's just say it turns everything on its head.
Oh, man, that was a mind-blowing twist.
Yeah.
It makes you question everything you thought you knew about him, his motivations, his entire existence. It's like Han Song is forcing us to reevaluate the whole story.
Right, and it speaks to this larger theme of control and manipulation, the idea that we're not always in control of our own destinies, that we're all just pawns in a game being played by forces beyond our comprehension.
Which is a pretty terrifying thought when you really think about it. And as we head towards the climax of the book, we see this epic confrontation unfold between the patients, the doctors, the Greenpeace Army. It's chaotic, violent, and yet somehow deeply symbolic.
It's like all the simmering tensions, all the repressed emotions are finally boiling over. The hospital itself becomes a battleground for these competing ideologies, these different visions of the future.
And in the middle of all this chaos, Han Song's descriptions of the hospital are so vivid and unsettling. It's this massive, sprawling complex that's both a place of healing and a site of industrial production, where the line between life and death is completely blurred.
It becomes a metaphor for the world itself, doesn't it? The systems we create, the technology we embrace, can both sustain us and destroy us. And it's ultimately up to us to decide which path we take.
And then there's the ending. I don't want to give anything away, but it's definitely not what I expected.
It's open to interpretation, which is something I appreciate about it. It leaves you with this sense of unease, this lingering feeling that the story isn't truly over, that the questions Hansong raises continue to resonate long after you finish the book.
It's the kind of ending that makes you want to go back and reread the whole thing, searching for clues, trying to piece together the puzzle.
And you might find something new each time you know. That's the beauty of a work like Dead Souls. It's layered, complex, and ultimately defies easy categorization.
So if you're looking for a safe, predictable, feel-good read Dead Souls, is probably not for you. But if you're willing to be challenged, to have your perceptions of reality twisted and turned upside down, then I urge you to check it out.
It's an experience that will stay with you. I can guarantee that. It's a book that makes you think, feel, and question everything you thought you knew about the world and your place in it.
Well, I think we've covered just about everything. We've gone deep into the characters, the themes, the plot. What a wild ride it's been.
It's been a pleasure exploring this book with you.
Likewise. And to our listeners, if you're ready for a mind-bending and unforgettable journey into the heart of human consciousness, then pick up a copy of Dead Souls. But be warned, once you enter Han Song's world, you might never see reality the same way again.
That's for sure. This is a book that will stay with you.
And that's a wrap on this deep dive into Dead Souls. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.